Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Hops Geek News, a podcast, if you can call it that, which is about comic books. It's about movies, TV shows, anything you'd pretty much see at Comic Con. We just like to blabber on, drink beer, which is the main reason we are all here is to drink beer and just talk nonsense with each other. You can find it anywhere you search podcasts at Hops News. Just look for the Geeks. If you're on YouTube, search Hops News, look for the Geeks playlist, and I am one of your two co-hosts. I am Mash. Alongside me is the Hoppy Mommy.
How are you doing tonight? We're nice and sober this time
We are. Last
so
week,
far.
we had some audio issues, and then also we were just kind of drunk at the time. We just finished our Secret Santa. We drank more beers than normal, but tonight we're sober for the moment. Sober for the
For the moment,
moment.
yes.
It's currently a couple days before Christmas because we have Christmas things going on. So today we're going to talk about some news. We have Boba Fett news. We got Justice League news. There's Mortal Kombat news, Game of Thrones, Mark Hamill news. We're going to talk the ending to Mandalorian a little bit. And then we're also going to talk
Ooh.
about our favorite things from 2020, whether it's movies, comic books, or TV shows. So it should be a good episode.
And of course, The Mandalorian.
And yes, we really are going to dive a little into Mandalorian. And speaking of Mandalorian, we are both drinking Baby Yo, which is a beer from Third Space Brewing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It kind of, if you look on YouTube, the image looks like it's a Baby Yoda can. So we felt that it was perfect to toast to the little green man in the episode that was pretty much amazing there at the end. It's a 3.9% fuzzy IPA,
We're
and it was
chugging this real quick.
we're chugging it real quick. We got a really good beer coming up soon. This one was brewed to celebrate their fourth anniversary. It's a baby starting to feel a little more grown up, just like Baby Yoda,
Ah.
aka Grogu, kind of is. But there's notes of tropical fruit, pineapple, coconut, peach, and tangerine, and combine it with a soft malt to create a slight hazy, low ABV treat. Yeah, this is only 3.9%. Kind of surprised. This is like
Yeah.
wake up and chug
As
this
soon
with
as
your
I
cereal.
taste it, yeah, it didn't taste like a haze bomb or whatever, even though it says fuzzy little IPA, but I think they were going more so on Baby Yoda being fuzzy. But it's a great beer that you can just, yeah, we're going to drink this real quick. This is
Yeah,
very
it's
easy
a
drinking.
really easy drink. It's if you're looking again on the tube, it's just light, not too hazy, but it's good. Not bad. I enjoy it. And
And
on
shout out
deck,
to Feeling Lucky Pod because he's the one that got us these beers.
yes, Lucky up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. If you listen to Hobbs News, if you listen to Feeling Lucky, he sent us these beers. So shout out to you, Luck. Little did you know. And we also on deck have a really good treat. We're not going to spoil it yet. We'll get to that when we get into our best of. But
Yeah.
first, I do believe that looking at my sheet here, I was right again. Is that what I'm reading?
You were. I was way worse than you were last week. I don't know what was said, but when I was re-listening to it, because I was curious to hear what we had said about the news and everything last week, I think I was saying the new date for Thor: Love and Thunder, and I don't know what I said, but then you're like, I'm pretty sure it's February 11th, 2022. It is February 11th, 2022. I googled it. Of course, things could change with COVID. We really don't know.
Yeah, who would
And I
know?
also just wanted to clarify I'm not obsessed with ghosts, even though I was screaming at you about the three men and a little baby ghost.
I
And
still feel like that was a cardboard cutout. I'm not convinced that was a
I
ghost.
think it was,
Not yet,
but
anyways.
I never thought it was a ghost. I thought they just messed up and like somebody was in the set or something. I don't know. But like as a kid, you're watching it on VHS and like I remember pausing it and like you can't zoom in and you're like, it's a ghost and it's a ghost. And we didn't
Or
exactly
Tom
have Google
Cruise's
then that we could
Scientology kids that he kidnapped.
maybe. Well, and then there was rumors that this kid like fell off the building or this kid was shot in the building and they're like it wasn't even an actual apartment building that we filmed in. And then when I was old enough and Google was out, I remember googling it and the cutout they showed us they're like this looks nothing like that. But if you really zoom in, which you can do now, you can't do on a VHS, you can kind of see that the kid's hair is probably a top hat and that he probably is wearing a tux, but it really does look like a little boy when
So
you're
he's
watching the
going to
movie. And I
prom.
I find it hilarious though that it's not on the Disney Plus one.
Well, you
It
got
is
to edit
not.
that shit
So,
out, man.
but it's so
It's
funny
bad
that
for
they
business.
did.
You can't have ghosts hanging around on a Disney property. That kid wasn't paid. He's gonna sue him.
I still think it's worth googling because it is entertaining, especially because there's even interviews with like Tom Selleck and Jimmy Fallon where they're like, "So tell us about this ghost story," and they did make reference to it in Supernatural. So That's about it. And I'm surprised we don't have more mess ups from last week, but maybe we
Yeah,
do and
we
we just
were
didn't
we
catch
were a
them. So
disaster last week. I apologize. Or maybe
it's a
hey, you were into
disaster.
it and that's cool. I don't care. We're good.
And yeah, I enjoyed our shark tangent. But if you catch something, hit us up on the Instagram DMs and we will virtual toast you. Because I know you did mention your friend was yelling about a name I already
Yes,
forgot from
my
the
friend
Die Hard
Anthony.
episode.
Well, I don't remember the name now. All I know is he was in
Dan Vulgar or something?
something like that. I
I don't
don't remember. We already forgot. Look at that. I don't know.
know.
But
And we're sober now. All right.
um
Well,
what have you watched?
what have
It's Christmas week, so we're recording this before Christmas, so your lives are consumed with Christmas. But that's not a bad thing. There's some time for other things in there too. What have you watched?
I watched the best episode of Mando ever.
True.
And I watched The Ref, which we talked about in our
Oh
Christmas movie
yeah.
special.
Yep. I did see your
Such
picture there.
such a great movie. It's one of those like I swear the more you watch it, the funnier it gets. I know a lot of people don't like Kevin Spacey now, but I have the DVD, so he didn't get any of my money. I bought the DVD a long time ago.
Well, he
But
did
it's a
get your
great
money.
Christmas movie.
He probably got a cut of that when
There
he
well
bought the
years
DVD.
ago, not since I knew, but
Still paid to
it's
the man.
such a great movie. Such a classic, so underrated. It is hilarious. And I mean, just watching Kevin Spacey beat the Christmas tree with a crowbar is just
It was a
it's
metaphor
like
for the
watching Hans Gruber
people
fall
that he
off the
beat in real
Nakatomi
life.
Tower. Oh, I didn't think of
True.
that. Okay. I also watched Da Five Bloods. So we'll talk about that more in Best of
That's
2020.
Chadwick
And
Boseman, isn't it?
he is,
I haven't seen that yet.
um,
I don't even remember what it's about now.
it's on Netflix, and I can go because that's on my list of some of the best ones. But it wasn't. I mean, it was kind of what I expected, but not too much of what I expected. But it was good. I enjoyed it. A long movie, 2.5 hour movie that my husband put on at like midnight, and then
Damn.
30 minutes later he's asleep, and 2.5 minutes hours later I'm wide awake finishing this
Who's
movie.
who? That's me. I put a movie on and I'm asleep right away. We were watching a Hallmark movie last night and I was actually into it. It was good because you can kind of tell that it was a brand new one, so you can tell that they're distancing by the way that they filmed it. They found
Oh
ways
my gosh,
around it.
that's
They're in like
funny.
an empty train. They're talking to people who are in a car. They're shot so where they're like distance from each other, things like that. So I was having fun kind of pointing out the ways that you can tell that they had kind of gotten around the whole COVID thing, but then I fell asleep halfway
Huh.
through. And I have no idea how it ends. Such a cliffhanger.
Oh, I think I do know how it ends. I didn't see that one, but I can
I
probably tell
think I
you.
know how it ends, but I need to watch it for myself.
But I also read volume 4 of The Boys Omnibus.
Ooh,
So that's still really good. I'm still enjoying that. I was a little disappointed because it seemed like Soldier Boy was a quick, not there very long. And obviously, I'm very excited because he's getting introduced in season 3 and Jensen Ackles is playing him. But I am now in the middle of a flashback. So they're telling a story like during World War II, which he's in.
huh.
So I'm excited to get to see more of basically like I guess some of his origin story and how that all plays out because his character, I know we've mentioned it before, was designed to basically mock Captain America
Right.
because anybody who's read any Garth Ennis comics knows he's not a fan of religion or cliche superhero stuff. So
What's
he takes, I
funny?
guess, every
Sorry, did you happen to see Robert Kirkman's it's Robert Kirkman, right? He's the creator. Or
he's
no,
the Walking
it's
Dead creator.
no, I'm sorry. It's oh my god, I forgot the creator of the Boys TV show.
Oh,
Anyways,
Eric Kripke,
yes, Eric Kripke. Oh my gosh, I sincerely
also the
apologize
creator of
there.
Supernatural.
Yeah, he posted on Twitter or Instagram or something how Mother's Milk basically got him a scarf that was knitted into a giant penis that wrapped around him, just because because he was like, it was my dream to have one of these or something like that. He was getting back at him, so he has a scarf that's like
Nice.
knitted as a giant penis, and he was wearing it. And it was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Oh man. Well, what have you read or watched this week other than half of a Hallmark movie?
I've watched actually plenty of Hallmark movies. I'll have you know, I've watched a bunch. I'm just gonna watch a bunch between now and Christmas. I'm gonna probably watch them through New Year's because as we kind of do, they go away
Don't
from
they
the
go on through
Christmas.
like February?
Well, they kind of go forever, but they switch to like a New Year's resolution type ones that kind of go up until like that New Year's. So we kind of do that. But I watched The Night Before finally with Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Anthony Mackie. That was a good movie. I liked it. It spoke to me in a sense that Seth Rogen was very worried about having his first child. And anybody who kind of goes through that, you're like, oh my God, I'm having like my first kid. I can't do anything. But then you kind of realize it's okay and everything. But
You
it's
don't have a
just,
choice.
You don't have a choice. No, I mean you don't.
You
Some
did
people
talk about that a little bit last week.
do
I
that.
think
I
you had
don't
watched
remember.
half of it and then you finished it or something.
Yeah, I finished it. It was a
Yeah.
really good movie, and my favorite part was Michael Shannon, aka General Zod, who is
Yeah.
basically the ghost of Christmas past. I do vaguely remember that now. I do vaguely remember the conversation about that at
If we're
this point.
redundant this week, we have a reason
I
why.
do remember. I've watched Home Alone 2, Home Alone. I've watched those a few times. I watched The Grinch, both animated and Jim Carrey version, and
Now,
I've
the
just been
original animated or the Benedict Cumberbatch animated?
no, 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 no. I'm sorry, but I like Benedict Cumberbatch, but I can't get into that one. So I watched the 1960s version, and then I watched Jim Carrey's
That's
version,
the best one.
and then I've been watching while I'm at work, pretending to actually do work this week because it's Christmas week. Nobody's around, so Home
Mm.
Alone, Home Alone, whatever's on Disney Plus, I've watched or Netflix, and then Frosty the Snowman, the original one. Watched that with the kids. So I haven't read
I haven't
anything. I
watched
picked
any
up.
of the old school.
You should. They're on CBS
We
and
have all
Freeform.
those DVDs too.
Oh,
That's
I do
one
too. I just
one
who watches
bunch of
DVDs?
DVDs I won't get rid of is Christmas
Yeah,
ones and
I
Halloween.
those ones I will say I don't get rid of either. I love the original Rudolph. We've watched that about 4 times. Frosty a few times. The kids like it, so watch that. I haven't
Yeah,
read
we have all
anything.
of those.
I've picked up Darth Vader, the eighth Darth Vader comic. That's a really, I'll get into that. That series is amazing. I still am halfway through Oblivion Song. I haven't picked that up, and then the Captain America comic that you sent me, I haven't read yet either. So, not a lot of reading, more of just watching and in between football and things like that. Because the
That's
Packers
what
are still
January is
playing.
for, is to watch
Yeah.
all that other stuff. Well, the
Well,
Captain America one I sent you is just bits of different Cap stories throughout,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I
his
still
origin to now.
invested in that. I don't want to read them around my son because then he's gonna make me want to read them out loud. And I feel like comic books are just that one thing that you can't read out loud because they don't flow as well unless you're just reading
Right.
it in your head. So no offense to my 5-year-old,
Yeah.
but I
No, that
can't
makes
read him when
sense.
he's around.
You'd have to be like pointing to the words, especially because you follow the bubbles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I buy him comics like a Scooby Doo one, and he'll read those. And he's really into comic books, which makes me happy. He can't read, but he likes to look at the pictures, so that's just as good. So
I mean, that's how they start.
true. Other than
Okay.
that, yeah, haven't done anything. Yeah, let's get a little news. We got some news.
Do 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 do.
News.
Yep.
All right. Well, this kind of spoils, but kind of doesn't spoil Mandalorian. So if you don't want to, if you haven't heard by now, and if you live under a rock, we are getting the Book of Boba Fett. Mandalorian kind of left us with a cliffhanger post credit scene, and so we're gonna get the Book of Boba Fett. Nobody really knows what that is. I don't really know what it is. It's interconnected, taking place at the same time as the Mandalorian TV show. So we know they're going to be connected or taking place at the same time. The worry was that Mandalorian's going to end now, the Boba Fett, but it's not like an anthology series. There's still a lot of stories to be told with Mando, and then Boba Fett. He's kind of a crime boss now, which makes sense. I can tie this back in when we talk about Mandalorian. I will tie it back in because it ties in with the Clone Wars, which you haven't watched. You will eventually,
Mm-mm.
so you'll kind of see a little bit about Boba Fett's backstory. Aside from that, we have March of 2021. Zack Snyder has announced that the Justice League is going to come out. He was talking and he's really excited, as I'm really excited. He wants to find an IMAX theater to release it in for people. You can maybe do that. I'm gonna watch it on HBO Max. I don't care. I hope it's just a 4 hour, just amazing session. He says it's probably gonna be rated R. That's cool. And Batman's probably gonna throw some F bombs around, which I don't care because there's
We
certain
talk.
comic book
Yeah.
storylines. Yeah, we've talked about it. There's comic book storylines where Batman
We
cusses.
dropped a lot of F bombs last week, or I did.
Yeah, he Batman goes out and beats criminals to a pulp. So like, of course he's gonna yell fuck a few times. I don't blame him. But
Right.
he wants Ben to be up for a Deathstroke movie still. So there could be a Deathstroke Batman movie on the books still. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Ben Affleck, I want him back. I would love to have him back. He's in better health now. So who knows? We'll see. And he also announced that he's going to reach out to David Ayer for his cut of Suicide Squad. Apparently there's a director's cut of Suicide Squad, which that was another one that the studio meddled with a lot. And there's a lot cut out. There's kind of some want. I don't really care about it, but David Ayer has talked a lot about his cut of the Suicide Squad movie, and this was all talked about in Deck the Halls event that they just did with Zack Snyder. Aside from that, according to Nicolive, which is kind of like a
This is terrible.
Nickelodeon. Oh, you know who wants Good Burger? I want Good Burger, and I want a Good Burger sequel, which is what we're gonna maybe get,
God.
according to that.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. May I
Oh,
take your
all
order? This is
right.
terrible.
Go to Mondo Burger. It was
So is Keenan
terrible.
Thompson in it?
So Keenan Thompson had says that yeah, it's in the works. He said, I mean, it's all in talks, so hopefully the numbers can match up to everybody's expectations, and we can get it done. But there's talks that have been had, I guess, is all I can really say about that. So there's just talks about it right now. Preliminary. Yeah, that would be cool, man. This is awesome. Who knows if it'll go anywhere? I hope it does. We'll see. I love that movie as a kid. They're in
I don't think I ever saw the movie, but I remember
what?
watching the show. Wasn't it on Snick?
Nick at Night, yes. It was called Snick at
No,
one point, wasn't it?
Snick.
You're right. It
Yes,
was called
Saturday
Snick at
night,
one
Nick
point
and yeah.
because you had
Nick
all
at Night is when
that.
they put on the old shows. Well, I
Yes,
think Good Burger was a skit in all that, I
it was.
believe.
It started as a skit, and then Keenan and Kel became a TV show, and then they did the
Right.
Good Burger movie, and then Keenan's been in SNL for like as long as we've been alive. I feel like he's been on it
He has, but
forever.
he's great in it though.
He
I love
is.
him.
He was made for it, and good on him. He's made a killing on that, and make a
Where's
make
the
a
other
Good Burger
guy?
skit. Kel
It's
has
like
done.
Bill and
No, Kel's done
well, it's
some
like Bill and
stuff.
Ted.
I don't remember
Okay, I was
all
gonna
what Kel has done. I think he's like gospel, something like that. I'm not entirely sure what Kel has done. He's made appearances here and there, and I think he actually does some production work for Nickelodeon still. But other than that, I honestly have no idea. Good question.
right. But it seems, like the Bill and Ted kind of thing where Keanu Reeves never went away and the other guy, it's like this is
Yeah,
all he had.
true. I mean, he was in some other stuff, I think, but yeah.
Oh, and I did want to mention in the book of Boba Fett, I keep forgetting her name. I just want to call her Melinda May or Mulan. She is supposed to be in the book of Boba
Ooh,
Fett with
really?
him. So
Yes,
I absolutely love
Fennec.
her. So
She's Fennec in it.
yeah,
She
Finnick.
will
I knew
be.
it was an F. I
I
can never.
can't believe she's like 60 years old.
No, is
She
she?
is. She's like in her 50s
I know
and
she
going
has
on her
like
60s.
older kids.
She's in her 50s and she
Well,
looks
she did Mulan was
damn good.
98, I think.
Yeah, she's in a
So I
lot of
mean,
movies and she looks good for being that like damn. If I look half as
wow.
good when I'm that age, she was doing like flips and everything in Mandalorian, so damn.
Right. Well, she would do that in Agents of Shield all the time. So she's
Yeah,
clearly like, maintained that training. I don't even Ming Na Wen. I'm trying to find I
I can't
that's
pronounce her name.
crazy
I'm
to
not going
me.
to try.
All right. Well, I do have some news. I guess I should move along and figure out how old she is later. Okay. So HBO has confirmed the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon will come out in 2022.
Ooh,
And as the title shows, this will follow the rise of the Targaryen family. Now,
nobody
Matt Smith, the 11th
cares.
Doctor, will be playing Prince Daemon Targaryen. Does that make you want to see it at all?
Not really, because I have such a bad taste in my mouth from gosh dang Game of Thrones.
Well, I
Ugh.
will give it a chance. George R. R. Martin, I don't believe him at all, but he claims that finishing the book series is his main priority. But he also says he may be involved in the scripts for this, but we shall see because I feel like we've heard that before. He's like the boyfriend that keeps saying he's going to leave his wife. He's never going to leave his wife.
That's
Everybody just needs to give
Game
up.
of Thrones is never going to get finished. That book series will never end, and he has an out. He can just say that they basically killed his will to write the book, and I don't know that those books are never going to get done. Let's just be honest.
No. And last week we did mention in the We're Not Experts that Chadwick Boseman did record for the What If series. Kevin Feige has come out and said that he recorded multiple episodes for the series. So
Multiple,
we're not just going to get, yeah. I was
man.
surprised at that because I honestly thought that each What If story was going to be one episode, but I guess
That's
not.
a tearjerker. FYI, she's 57. She's born in 1963.
Wow. Damn, she looks good. Good for her. Oh, you're out. You're on that one. Hold on.
I'm gonna pour it. I won't start. We'll drink and
So
start
this
talking about
isn't
it in a minute. But
this isn't really news, but I was excited when a friend showed this to me. If you have Disney Plus, which I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you probably do.
who
They have a
doesn't?
whole thing called Scenescapes now, where I don't know if anybody, like, I remember my dad had like a DVD of like an aquarium, and you could just put the aquarium on. So you can actually do like the Nemo not wreath,
Really?
reef, or the frozen fireplace, or they even have an hour long just live video of sunrise at Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot.
I'm a sucker for
So
that.
it's actual footage, and it's basically like a sleep machine with noises and Disney scenes. It's really
Dang,
cool.
I'm a sucker for that.
So I
Did
had
you
the frozen
see
fireplace on.
there is that 5 hours of Darth Vader burning will replace your Yule log this year?
No,
Apparently, that
I
was like a thing
didn't.
going around. I'm about it.
Oh,
I Poor Darth Vader. The man has to burn on fire for 5 hours just for you to get some Yuletide cheer around here.
poor Vader. He's so misunderstood.
He is. Look,
I have a little
he's.
bit more Mark Hamill news, but I feel like we should save
Should
that
we
for
talk
the
about
end.
that when we get to Mandalorian?
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to our main
We are
topic.
going to
Let
talk
me
about the
bust out my
best. This is
beer.
our final episode before the new year begins. And what better way than to recap kind of some movies that we liked, comic books we liked, TV shows we liked. And there's a lot that I forgot even existed this year. First of all,
Well, because the beginning of this year feels separate from like March on.
God, it's been the longest decade ever. Uh, it's just drawn on. And we just cracked open the Funky Buddha 2017 Maple Bacon Coffee Porter. Well, I cracked it open. Hoppy's having an issue with
I
it.
know. I think I need to
It
get rid of this
is
bottle opener.
it is evoking a complete diner style breakfast in a glass. Maple Bacon Coffee Porter is chock full of sticky maple syrup, fresh roasted coffee, and the smoky, salty bite of bacon. Luxuriously creamy with layers of sweet malt, toffee, and roast giving way to waves of smoke and salted chocolate. This ebony porter finishes sticky and rich with maple syrup lingering pleasantly in the tongue. This, honest to God, smells like a goddamn bottle of maple syrup. I
This
can't
beer to me,
even.
the smell is like nostalgic because this was
Oh
the first,
my.
this and Hunapoo were the first dark beers I fell in love with.
Oh my
This beer
God.
used to be, yeah, this beer used to be, and now imagine how good the barrel aged versions are.
What do I gotta do? Like, I gotta get down to Funky Buddha to get to like I know they're
Well,
not gonna have any more of this, but like holy
right.
smokes.
I have quite a few left from 2016 still. This is the 2017 you said?
Yes.
I
Oh
feel
my
like I should
God.
know.
It's only
So the
6.4.
story, yeah, it's because it's but the barrel aged one's like 11. Yeah, that's why I said it's not a high ABV at all. But when this beer first came out, it would only come out in like January, and then you basically had to like attend the festival to get the beer. Because I remember the first time I went to the brewery, which it's in Oakland Park, which is in Broward County near Fort Lauderdale. And I asked him, like, I know this is probably a long shot, but do you have maple bacon coffee porter? And it's fun to say. It's like saying Francisco. And they kind of like laughed. They're like, yeah, no. So the following year, I finally went to the festival, and like, I remember carrying out my bottle like I was holding a baby. I was like, I have to keep this, my precious. But they were one of the first breweries that really got big in Florida. Everybody knows Cigar City. Cigar City
Yep.
opened first. They did sell to Constellation, who owns Corona, and they actually own like a wine company as well. So they own a bunch of stuff. So it's much more accessible to get now. So I think they're even selling this in 4 packs now. So they do
What?
still release it. I've been told that the recipe is the same. They do still also stagger their releases though, so they don't have it all the time. But they have some absolutely amazing beers. As some people say, it's not as good as it used to be. I feel like it's held up. I just think so many other breweries have gotten so amazing that it's hard to compare a beer
Yeah.
that hasn't, I don't want to say not improved because it's still a classic to me, but I mean, I love them. I actually poured for them at a festival back in February, and I mean, they have a great scratch kitchen too. So usually when we go down south, it's a great brewery. Nice big open spot. We had my dad's 60th birthday there a few years ago, and my stepmom let me pick the beer menu. Oh, it was an amazing beer menu.
I
And they
honest to
do weddings
God,
and everything.
I can't stop like smelling this beer, first of all, because it smells like home to me. Because everybody who knows me, I can't
That's
shut the
funny.
fuck up about New England. Because if you're from New England, particularly
You
Massachusetts,
miss
you
it.
gotta you tell everybody. And I miss it a lot. It's one of those places I wish that I got to live there luckily for a year before I had to move again. But it smells like maple syrup. So what they have in March every year is they have Maple Sunday. It's like the third or Maple Weekend. I'm sorry. It's like the third weekend of March. And what it is everybody goes out there and they tap the maple trees. And so this is when all the sugar shacks open back up, the maple trees. You can drive around, you see the taps with buckets by them, and it's like a huge thing. And so you walk into some of these places, these sugar shacks, and all you smell is maple syrup just boiling and cooking. And that's what this beer smells like. It just reminds me of the sugar
Hmm.
shacks. And I wish that I almost wish I had this when we were talking about what 6 pack we would bring with us, because this would make the cut
Ah,
over
yeah.
one of the or two of the other beers we had, just because I know it's a Florida. I've had their pineapple beer that they brew, like a pineapple that was very
Pineapple
common.
Beach. It's
Yeah,
very
I've
light. Yeah.
I've had that a bunch of times when I lived in Florida, but man, this beer is incredible.
They also have they started doing a new kind of series. I feel like it's a mixology series or something.
Hmm.
And like they have like the coquita for Christmas time, which I mean, if you could imagine a beer and a coquita, that's what it is. And then they do like
Man,
pina colada, and they'll do different kind of ones like that. And that's actually what I poured it when I did the beer festival, and people were like losing their minds over it. But I have quite a few of the 2016, so I can send you one of those in the next beer box I send you,
yeah.
because
Oh my
it's
god.
so easy to get now. But I think I told the story on Hops News recently, like when we started to get like small shipments of it in Orlando, because I'm 3 hours away, well, probably 2.5 hours away from the brewery. And when we started to get it up in Orlando, like one day I was like, I saw on a Facebook page, like, oh my God, Total Wine has, it wasn't Morning Wood, it was Wide Awake. They have two different imperial versions
Hmm.
of this beer, Wide Awake and Morning Wood. And like I just looked at my husband and he's like, I got the baby, go. And I like hauled ass to Total Wine to go get this beer. And like I got like the second to last one. And there was like people in work clothes that were like, all right, hurry up, get the beer. We got to go back to work. It was like somebody posted on like Beer Snob page or something
Yeah,
like that in
yeah.
Orlando. And yeah, I mean, their beers, I mean, yeah, they after Cigar City. I mean, this is what I fell in love with when I got into beer
They're a
was
great brewery. I mean,
this. Yeah.
Monkey Buddha, they do. I've had a few of their beers, but I honestly I can't get over how good this beer is. I You get a little bit like the smokiness, the on the back end. You get a little coffee, but I'm getting like a lot of like that
It's mainly
maple
maple,
sweet.
yeah.
And I'm a maple slut through and through. Pumpkin and maple, like I am. There's not much to me here. I love it.
They do a sweet potato beer, but I don't think I've ever had a pumpkin there.
Ooh,
But
a
the sweet
sweet
potato
potato beer.
beer, I mean, I didn't particularly like it. I thought it was too sweet, but I know a lot of people love it. I
I
forget what it
have
tasted
no. I've
like.
tried the sweet potato beer. I'm pretty
Okay, it comes
sure.
out around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I have. I've tried it before, and I thought it was good. It wasn't. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a good beer. It wasn't anything that I'm like, oh yeah, this is the best beer ever. But it was full
It
of
was
flavor. I
yeah,
thought.
more like a cream soda or something. I can't remember. It's been so long. I just remember not caring for it, so I haven't had it since, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Hop Gun was one of the first IPAs I really fell in love with. You know, I got into IPAs mainly through Dogfish, and then
We don't say that
New
name.
Belgium accumulation. And yeah, so then we had High Lie and we had Hop Gun, and they're both just, great go-to IPAs. The one thing I did really like, because whenever a brewery sells out, you're always concerned, is the quality going to go down? And
Oh
of course,
yeah, absolutely.
ideally you want to give your money to the smaller people too. You want to keep those small businesses alive. So the main benefit I truly enjoyed was every year my girlfriends and I go to the Tortuga Music Festival, which is on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. And right after they sold out, we got Funky Buddha beer at Tortuga. I didn't have to drink Modelo. So I was, down in hop
I
guns
didn't have
all
to
day, which
poison
was
my
much
body.
more preferred. Modelo's not bad, but if I could have Modelo or a hop gun, I'm getting a hop gun. But then
Yeah,
they're like 2 years later, they didn't have it. They had Pineapple Beach and the Floridian instead, and I was bummed. But still better than Modelo.
very true.
So,
I
all
don't
right.
really care. But yeah, we man, this would go on my 6 pack. So Frito at home, 2017, Maple Bacon Porter, Funky Buddha,
We'll
delicious. And
hold it
thank
up.
you, Hoppy. You hooked me up. Merry Christmas to us.
Merry
Uh
Christmas.
However, man, there was a lot to happen this year. We didn't get a lot as well because of the old coronavirus. So this list isn't what it normally probably would be. We'd be getting what, 2 or 3 Marvel movies, maybe a DC movie by now. I
We did
haven't
get one
watched.
DC movie. We got Birds of Prey.
We did, and it actually just won like it won some award, like best action movie or something through IGN. It wasn't a bad
Hmm.
movie. I'll talk about it. And Wonder Woman comes out this week, so we'll talk about it probably next episode, because you'll watch it when you get back, and I'll watch it Friday, and we'll discuss. So we'll probably discuss it next episode. So that hasn't come out yet when we're doing this list. Some other things did come out. I'm not going to go through the whole list of movies that came out. I will just kind of go through
Oh
our
no.
top 10 movies.
You can Google that.
Yeah, you can Google it. I'll kind of go through our top 10 movies, give a little brief synopsis of what they're about. And first,
Yeah,
I'm going to
without
start with
spoiling it.
my number 10 movie was actually Eurovision. I love stupid campy movies, and
Oh, it
this
was
was a
so
movie.
stupid.
It was not good, but the soundtrack is a banger. I love the soundtrack. That shit slaps. And we listen
That
to it
one's
in the
on
car
Netflix.
sometimes because I love the song that she sings on the stage at the end. For some reason, that song gets me like hyped up because the singer's voice is so amazing. It's not Rachel McAdams singing; it's an actual like really good Swedish singer who was on
Huh.
Eurovision in real life. Uh, Will
Oh.
Ferrell's
Now
actually,
it's got to be
but
real Will Ferrell because he's the songbird of his generation.
yes, it is Will Ferrell singing. So it's Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams. They are aspiring musicians. Lars and Sigrid are, I probably butchered that. I am sorry. They're given an opportunity to represent their country, which is Iceland, at the world's biggest song competition. They finally have a chance to prove that any dream worth having is a dream worth fighting for. I thought it was good. There's not much to it. It's a like a 2 hour movie, I think it was. It's kind of long, but it was good. I thought it was just stupid, campy, fun. And so I have that number
Aren't there
10.
trolls or something that are like, oh, yeah, okay, that's your there are
Oh, don't
trolls in it, I
just
believe.
I don't
Sorry, I
know.
will leave it at that. You got to watch it. There's trolls.
I don't know if there's troll. I don't remember seeing trolls in that
I
movie.
thought she like not prayed to the trolls.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. She does. She prays. No, she does. They're like prays
It's
to like
like
the
in
elves or the
Frozen
trolls or
where
something.
like,
Yeah, no, she does.
yeah. So they went on all the kind of Norwegian,
Yeah, they
Scandinavian
they go
like
into like that
hokiness.
whole religion, what things they believe in, things like that. So it was good. Birds of Prey, I actually have at number 9, and it's about Harley Quinn, Canary, Renee Montoya, and
Well, Harley
Huntress.
Quinn just got her heart broken and she's
Harley
angry.
Quinn just got her heart broken. She's kind of in shambles. She has her hyenas, and it was okay. I don't think it was the best movie ever. I thought it was
No.
good, but I don't think I thought Ewan McGregor was the best thing about that movie as Black Mask. He played it fantastically, and it was
He was
just
an
kind of one of
awesome
those.
villain.
I
Yeah.
honestly forgot it came out this year. It did win some award, like I said, but that's probably number 9. Number
Yeah, I
eight's
had
gonna.
higher hopes for that.
I did too. I thought it was gonna be really good, and when it came out, I think no, it was before COVID, so I don't know. It just kind of came and went. It was just there.
Yeah. I watched on HBO. I did not. I usually don't go to the theater for DC movies. I'm not going to lie. I wait.
I didn't go to the theater for this either. We watched it. We rented it one night or something like that on HBO. Number 8 though is Jingle Jangle, which it's an imaginary world comes to life in a holiday tale of an eccentric toy maker who is Forrest Whitaker, his adventurous granddaughter, and a magical invention that has the power to change their lives forever. Keegan Michael Keyes is the bad guy in this. You might know him from Key and Peele. He's a great actor. Played a good bad guy.
Oh.
I thought it was a
Which one? The
really
tall one or the short one?
he's the tall one, tall bald, not the one who doesn't
Okay.
write all the good
Gotcha.
horror movies. I feel
I
bad
know
saying
he's
that
in
because they're
other stuff
both.
too. And he has
Yeah,
that.
he's in a bunch. But it was a cute movie. I thought it was really good. I know it meant a lot to a lot of like my friends, so it meant a lot to them, and I thought it was a good movie. It was pretty cute. It was kind of long, but the wife and I we sat down, we watched it. I liked it. So that's number 8. Number 7 is going to be Extraction, which is starring Thor, Chris Hemsworth as Tyler Rake, a fearless black market mercenary embarks on the most deadly extraction of his career when he's enlisted to rescue the kidnapped son of an imprisoned internal crime lord. Did you watch this one?
Now, my husband watched it, so I was watching like parts of it. Like sometimes he'll be watching a movie on the couch, and I'm coming in and out and in and out. But it's terrible because it's hard for me to watch him now and not be Thor.
Yeah,
So
he is
and
kind of
I
typecast, but at the same time, I thought he was good in
yeah
this.
was good in it. Again, I didn't see the whole thing, but a lot of times I can very easily just immerse myself in the movie and not necessarily be like, oh, this is that person. But I don't know. He's just so distinctly Thor to me now. But
Yeah,
in,
that's
I
fair.
guess also because he's doing these heroic, stuff in this movie as well. He's still, he's still badass, even if he doesn't have
Right.
his Mjolnir or Stormbreaker. Um, but yeah, I just kept seeing Thor. But it was a good movie, what I saw, and Josh really liked it as well.
Yeah, I
And that
thought it
one's on
was.
Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix. It's a good action
As
movie.
is
There's
Jingle
not a lot
Jangle.
of depth to it. Yes, Jingle Jangle's on it on Netflix as well. Extraction was good. There's going to be a sequel being made. I think they're filming it right now, possibly. but or no, probably not right now because I think they're doing Thor. They're filming or getting ready to film Thor right now. But
Well, that is a priority.
yes, yeah, it was good. I don't think it was anything that blew me away necessarily, but I really liked it. I like movies like that to a certain degree, so I'm here for it. Number 6 is Hubie Halloween. I think we both had this on our list.
Yeah, I felt like it's not good, but it's good.
No, you certainly like again, I love really crappy like movies like this. I love cheesy movies and there's a lot of crossovers between the other Adam Sandler movies in it. You get Ben Stiller's back
So
as the
many Easter eggs
doctor, a
immediately.
lot of Easter eggs in it, he has his stupid voice that everyone's just like, "Ugh." But
If he had just not done that, I would have liked the movie better because it did even have twists and
yeah,
stuff and things you didn't expect to happen. So it
yeah, it
wasn't
did have
super
a lot of
predictable.
twists. It wasn't
Yeah.
predictable, I thought. And there were certain things that made me scratch my head, such as the lead girl and then his weird voice and what's going on with him. But it's what you would expect from Adam Sandler. It it was a good movie. It takes place. It actually I could have been in that movie because they were filming it while when I was back there. They were looking for
Is it in Salem?
extras. It
Or they're just
it was
pretending?
filmed in that area, but it takes place. The movie takes place in like Salem, which is the
Okay.
biggest Halloween place in America. If you know anything about the Salem witch trials, in
Right.
Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Well, and they make that comment, they can't shut down the place. This is when we make all our money.
Oh yeah,
I hate when they
absolutely.
do that though. There was some movie where they said they were like on a boat in the Keys and in the background there were mountains. It's like unless they were
Oh
right next
yeah.
to Cuba, there are no mountains to be seen in the
Well,
Keys.
to be fair, Salem, like they do make their money October, like mid September to late October, because everybody does come down there like leaf peepers, and then a lot of their
Right.
money is off of tourism. But yeah, it is always hilarious when I was watching, okay, a Hallmark movie, and she was leaving Boston, taking a train to Springfield, Mass. Springfield, Mass is like a literal fucking ghetto. People get robbed there and shot there all the time. No middle class white woman is going to Springfield, Mass. It is straight
Well,
up
they
like
are now because it's in a Hallmark
there's a
movie.
call. I had friends who went to college there, and like you couldn't go out on Halloween because you'd get robbed and shot because of like gang initiations.
Jeez.
That's where Six Flags New England is in Springfield, Mass. And also the NBA Hall of Fame is there. You can go
Huh.
there. Wouldn't recommend going in the actual city of Springfield. It's a dangerous place.
Gotcha.
However, she took a train from Boston to Springfield. First of all, listen here. There's no fucking train that goes from Boston to anywhere unless it's the Amtrak. And it sure as shit isn't going to Springfield, Mass. And the train she took was luxury. If anybody has ever been on the commuter rail, then you sure as
I'm
hell
nodding. I have
know.
no idea.
Okay, well, I'm just people who might listen to this, maybe they know. The commuter rail is the train. It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit. It's always broken. Everyone like the train conductors were friendly in the movie. No, the train conductors in Massachusetts hate their fucking lives and they hate you, and so they're not friendly people. They're often very angry people, and the trains themselves are often not good places. So when I was watching this movie, it just I
I
was
don't.
there's no way this she and
Right. That
then I
stuff
looked it
starts
up.
to drive you
It
nuts.
does being
Was it we were
from there.
watching the movie with Melissa McCarthy and she's like an identity, I think it's called Identity Thief or
Oh,
something,
with
and it's
Jason
Jason
Bateman.
Bateman.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
starts, it's like Winter Park, Florida, and they're at the beach. Winter Park, Florida is about 10 minutes that way, and in the opposite direction, 35 minutes that way is the beach. It is not nowhere.
You're
And
like, what the?
anyone who watches Dexter, who's from South Florida, it's not filmed in Miami. They have we don't have license plates on the front of our cars,
Nope,
and
they
a
sure
ton of
don't.
people do not have your basic Florida license plates. Everybody has like the novelty ones. They have different palm trees. And when they called Brickell on one episode, everybody was losing their mind. And
Yeah,
not everywhere in Miami is on the water.
it's not. I've
Dexter
been to
must be
Miami.
like, right. Dexter must know some high up people because any restaurant he goes to is always on the water and
Well,
he's
that's the
got
only
the best
places he
seat in the
goes.
place. Well, and then it always drives me nuts when I see them in suits in the middle of summer. Like they would be melting if they were wearing those clothes in the middle of
Yeah,
summer.
I'm not dressing like
But
a
I
lumberjack in
still
summer
enjoyed
in
Dexter
Florida.
until the last season. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
so inaccurate.
nonetheless, she was not going to fucking. She was not in Massachusetts, and I looked it up. It was filmed in Vancouver. Makes sense,
That makes more
but
everything's filled in, well, either Vancouver or Georgia.
right. And but I got wicked heated. I was like, what the hell? And there's just so
Isn't
much.
that funny how that happens?
It was just crazy. Anyways, moving on. Number 5, Sonic the Hedgehog, which stars Ben
Still need to see this.
Schwartz. You may know him from Parks and Rec. It also stars James Marsden, who's Cyclops, and he also plays in every single animated movie that has to deal with animation and human beings, because I feel like he's such a handsome, like could do a lot better, but he just resigns himself to playing movies like,
The nice guy.
yeah, or Hop. Like he's in that Easter Bunny movie. He's in
Yeah.
Hedge Sonic, which I think was like the highest grossing movie of this year, funnily
I
enough,
think it was
because the
too.
theater shut
Yeah.
down. But
Yeah.
then Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik. It was a decent movie. My wife
Do you
took,
know what that's on now?
is that on HBO? I have no idea.
All
I
right. You know,
watched
if you
it.
don't know off the top, I was
I
going to
don't
tell
know off
people
the
if
top of my
anybody wants to
head.
watch it. I want to watch it,
Uh,
actually. I haven't seen
it
it
was
yet.
good. I thought it was good. There's gonna be a sequel. It kind of sets it up for it without spoiling too much of it. My son really loves the movie. He's really big into Sonic, and I love Sonic because I used to play it on Sega Genesis all the time. So I have a sucker. I'm a sucker for Sonic. So that was a good movie. Number 4 was Bill and Ted Face the Music. This
I need
one,
to see that.
look, it was, so once told they'd save the universe during a time traveling adventure, two would be rockers from San Dimas, California, find themselves as middle aged dads still trying to crank out a hit song to fulfill their destiny. In other words, it sounds like my brother and mine's life. We had big plans, all right? My brother and I had big plans. We were going to play Warp Tour. We were going to go and be musicians. I play the bass. He and I can also like, I'll just, yeah, we're going to be musicians and go places. And now we're dads, so we can relate. And then it stars actually a couple big, the babysitter, Samara Weaving, she's in it. And then I forget her name, but she plays in Atypical on Netflix. She's in it as well. And it was a good movie. I thought it was great for being out, what, 30 years after the first two come out. It's a good movie.
Wow.
You're not getting a lot of, like, you're not blown away. You can kind of expect, but it was just the way, it's what 2020 needed when it came out. It was like, this is what we need right now for everyone to come together. And it was a good movie. So I recommend watching that. Number 3,
I have questions here.
what are your questions?
Why is this your number 3?
Oh, this is Stockholm syndrome coming right up.
All right. So his
Oh
3
man.
is Trolls World
Number 3 is
Tour.
Trolls World Tour. First of all, Anna Kendrick is going to be my wife one day. My current wife realizes this.
Aw.
She knows. We've had this
Okay.
talk. Hannah Kendrick doesn't know this, but one day we're going to meet, and then just, it's going to happen. Anyways, yeah, this movie is more of a Stockholm syndrome because there was a point in quarantine where I was home with the kids every other week, and I literally watched this like 2 times a day, every single day, and everything
You'd
my
think that would
daughter.
make you like it less.
Well, my daughter, she's obsessed with Trolls. Everything is Trolls. Poppy, she loves. We listen to the soundtracks, and it's going more towards Frozen now. But my God, she loved this. And Trolls World Tour takes place because the Queen of Hard Rock, Barb, Queen Barb, tries to take over the Troll Kingdoms, and Queen Poppy and her friends try different ways to save the trolls. It's got Justin Timberlake, Anna Kendrick, it's got a Ozzy Osbourne version of a troll. It's got punk rock. It's got yodeling. I don't know. It's not that bad
See,
of a
my
movie.
kids were freaked out by the first movie, so I was never subjected to the
No
second one.
trolls left behind.
Well, just the fact that in the first one there's like these monsters that are eating them and have like a
Yeah,
freaking
they're
cookbook of how to
Bergens.
make
They literally
trolls.
roast trolls.
Yeah, my
Pretty
middle kid
savage.
was like, I don't like this. I was like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to watch it. I don't care.
My kids love it.
But it does have a decent soundtrack. I will give you that.
The soundtrack's lit.
Now,
And
your number 2, we actually almost watched the other night, and
you
then
should
we
watch
felt
this
like
one.
we saw the entire movie in the trailer, so we didn't.
You Yes and no. Yes and no. So Invisible Man is my number 2. It's a remake
And that's on
of the
HBO
old Invisible
Max.
Man. It's on HBO Max. It has Kate Moss in it from, I don't remember the name of the show.
Mm-mm.
Handmaid's Tale.
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss. Oh, Kate Moss is like the
Yeah, from
model. They always
Handmaid's
made
Tale.
fun
Kate
of
Moss is
in
like some
the
skinny
model.
model from the
Yeah, they always
90s or
made fun of
something.
in Family Guy. That's right.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, and she looked like very
Elizabeth
famished.
Moss. She is in Invisible Man. She's also in Handmaid's Tale, and it's about when
And
Cecilia's
Mad Men.
abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune. She suspects his death was a hoax. Gasp! And as a series of coincidences turn lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by somebody that no one can see.
And
And
nobody believes her.
no one believes her, of course. It was a good movie. It's a fun modern take on the original Invisible Man. Excuse me.
Is the original one the one with Kevin Bacon, or was there one before that?
No, there was the Invisible Man is like one of the original.
Hollow Man
Yeah, you're thinking Hollow Man.
was Kevin Bacon, but he was
Basically the same.
invisible.
Yeah, basically the
Yeah.
same. But Invisible Man is one of the original like horror movies. You know, you have werewolf, you've got Frankenstein, things like that. And
Oh, like in the Adam Sandler cartoon, Transylvania. They have
yeah,
all those characters
yeah,
and
yeah,
they have an
yeah.
invisible character.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Invisible Man, and it kind of has a fun take on with modern technology. I won't spoil it because you haven't seen it, but it's a good
See,
movie.
I saw that in the trailer.
Well,
I saw more than what you just said in it. Like I put the trailer on because my husband and I were trying to find something to watch together, and he looks at me after the trailer. He goes, "I think I just watched the whole movie." I was like,
even though
"Oh,
you
I
there
agree."
is a little bit more to it, I suggest watching it. Just watch it. It's good. I recommend it.
Okay,
And my number
I have
one,
a list of movies to watch now.
you do. My number one is actually Palm Springs, which features Andy
I haven't even
Samberg
heard of this.
and Kristen Milotti. It's on Hulu, I want to say. It's when carefree
And then
Niles and reluctant maid of honor Sarah have a chance encounter at a Palm Springs wedding, things get complicated as they are unable to escape the venue themselves or each other.
it sounds
So,
like a Hallmark movie.
no, 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 no. He's basically
Okay.
trapped living the same day over and over.
Oh, so it's Groundhog Day?
Yes, but there's it's a lot funnier. It kind of like makes you feel things. It was a really good movie. There's a lot of emotion to it. There's a lot of it kind of makes you think about your own life as well. And you're kind of like, "Oh, wow." I really recommend watching it. It came out, oh, I want to say it came out over the summer maybe, and
Do you know what
really
that's
good.
on?
I'm 99% sure it's Hulu
Okay.
because that's where we just like we are looking one night and we're like, "What is Palm Springs?" So it's either Hulu or Amazon Prime. I'll look it up in a second. But that was
You would
really,
think
really good.
Andy Sandberg, though, we would have heard about it. I didn't hear anything about that.
There was a big like a lot of people were actually liked it and talked about it, but it's one of those that's word of mouth because it came out on a streaming
Right.
site. So it wasn't one of those got released to theaters or wasn't released on theaters. And so a lot of people did talk about it.
But I think even like with, especially with Prime, they usually, like when a new season of Boys comes out, as soon as I turn my TV on, it's all
It's on
over the
Hulu.
place.
It is Hulu. So you
On
can watch it
Hulu.
on
Okay.
Hulu. And that's kind of why they don't really advertise their stuff on Hulu, which is a Disney
I guess
property
Hulu
now.
doesn't so much. But like they have one of the new movies on Hulu. It's like all over my Instagram. Happiest Season. Like I couldn't not see the advertisements for that one. That was a good
Huh.
movie though.
I
I
don't
do
remember.
mention that one. All
But I
right.
have
So you
some
have a
honorable
couple.
mentions. I
Yeah.
do. So first one's Bad Boys 3. Takes place like 20 years after. You got overweight Martin Lawrence with Will Smith. Will Smith, one last ride, help me out. It's a good movie. I don't think it made my top 10. It was just like a generic action movie. I liked the first two, but this one was just okay. You have Vampires versus the Bronx, which is a pretty decent movie actually. It's about kids and they want to put on like this party kind of thing in the Bronx. Well, they found out that vampires and there's actually I can't remember his name, but he's a big name actor. The vampires are moving in and gentrifying the Bronx essentially. So that was a good movie.
The vampires are
They are
gentrifying the
well, they're
Bronx.
they're to do their own thing. So yeah, they're gentrifying it.
Oh, that's
Scoob,
hilarious.
which I thought Scoob was good. The only reason why I didn't make my top 10 was because they did Matthew Lillard dirty. They didn't tell him that he wasn't going to come back as Shaggy. They just kind of he found out
Oh, I remember
on like
hearing that.
Twitter and Instagram. So I didn't. It was a decent movie, but it's not the same without Matthew Lillard. And then the Old Guard that gets an honorable mention for me. It was decent. It's a graphic novel,
Me as
and
well.
it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna make more. I just thought like everything was kind of predictable, and it was just kind of your generic run of the mill action movie. Charlize Theron, she's in it. There's some other people. It was okay. I don't put it in
Yeah,
my
it's
top 10.
I had that as an honorable mention as well. Yeah, it's a story about a small group of people that you basically
They can't
can't
kill
really kill
until their time is up and they've served their purpose.
for and that but they can like sense each other. And of course, I think I even put predictable in my description.
Yeah, it's
Then
pretty
some evil
predictable.
scientist, of course, finds out and wants to exploit
That
this for
evil
money.
scientist
Is
is
from Doctor
actually Dudley
Strange.
Dursley. He
That's
is
the dude from
the doc.
right?
No. The evil
No.
scientist is Dudley Dursley from Harry Potter.
Oh.
Fun fact.
No, who's the guy that saved them?
The
Hold on, I'll look back on
Mordo,
it.
Mordo. You're talking about Mordo. He's the
Yeah,
he
he's in
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, he
Oh yeah, the
eventually
one evil dude was not him. Yeah, there's
no,
one guy that's
yeah.
just straight
Mordo's a
up
bad guy
evil.
in Doctor Strange. This guy, he kind of I without he's tracking them down. Kind of.
Yeah.
He
But he
knows
just
about
wants to
them.
experiment on them to kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
research
He wants to do his own
immortality.
thing, whereas Dudley Dursley's just like, I want to profit this and cure cancer and all this other shit.
Right. He wants to be good.
Yeah, my well, he's
But no, it was an enjoyable movie, I thought.
I liked
But
it,
yeah, it
but yeah,
was
it's not a top 10 to me.
predictable.
It didn't leave me blown
Uh,
away. However, I really should have put this final movie that gets an honorable mention. It's called Fat Man. Fat Man is a movie starring Mel Gibson as Santa Claus. And
what?
as Santa Claus, he teams up with the US
Oh.
Army because times are tough. And so he pimps out his factory and things to pay the bills and he builds the computers or something for them.
Oh,
However, there is a mercenary hired by a kid who gets coal because he gets mad because he doesn't win the science fair one year. So he puts a hit out on this little girl and then he gets coal for it. So the kid he's actually the kid who plays in that movie The Boys or something like that. It's like the Seth Rogen movie about the three boys going through puberty, things
oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, I know what you're
Well,
talking about.
he's one of the kids. So he puts a hit, and the mercenary is in a lot of stuff. He's currently in the show called The Unicorn. I don't remember his name. I got to put some respect on it. Well, he's a hitman who's obsessed with Santa Claus. He has his hamster, and so he's tracking down Santa Claus, aka Mel Gibson, to carry out a hit. And Mel Gibson and him get into a duel, and that is what Fat Man is about. They never strictly call him Santa. They do call him the Fat Man a lot, and he goes by Chris, and everybody in town knows him. You see his reindeer, and then his like elves or vampires or something like that. I don't know, but
Hmm. See,
it's
when we
not great, but I recommend watching it.
well, when I first heard it, I thought it had something to do with Kevin Smith, and then when I went to put the trailer in, because we watched a few trailers the other night, and then we ended up watching a stand-up comic. As soon as we saw it was Mel Gibson, my husband's not a Mel Gibson fan after his
Well,
rant
I
a few
wonder
years ago, so
why.
we don't watch Mel Gibson movies anymore. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
so as soon as he saw Mel Gibson, he goes, "Mel Gibson's dead to me," and I
Well, yes. It's Mel Gibson as Santa Claus, only Santa as a badass who takes on a
I did not
hitman.
see that coming at all.
I had no idea. So what? Let's go through your movies first, and then we'll go into TV next.
All right, you got any more honorable mentions?
Nope, I think that was about it. I can't wait to watch Wonder Woman. Had I had Wonder Woman come out when we recorded this,
Yes.
Wonder Woman would no doubt be in my top 10. Just because I've heard great things about it. I love DC movies and Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman. The last movie is great, so I have no doubt that they made this one great too.
Enjoy you. Am I frozen? Oh. Okay. All right. So Mulan was on Disney Plus. I might have cut out for a second there. But yeah, you know the story. It's enjoyable, but it didn't have Mushu. I also had Hubie Halloween. I was very impressed that it had a twist, but Adam Sandler, you needed that voice. It's just
He
terrible.
doesn't care.
Uncle Frank is on Prime. This is actually Vision is the main character in this movie. Well, Paul Bettany, not Vision, and he plays a gay man in the '70s who is still in the closet. And almost his entire family does not know.
Huh.
Then his niece comes up to NYU where he's a professor, and she inevitably finds out. And it's a very sweet, sad story, and it makes you realize how far along gay rights have come in the last 50 years, and how not far along they have come in the last 50 years. So it's really good. I enjoyed that one. And then that leads me to Happiest Season, a movie that takes place 50 years later. It's on Hulu. Very festive. It's a Christmas movie. It's got the girl from Twilight in it. And so she's
Kristen
going
Bell.
home for Christmas with her. No, Kristen Bell's from The Good Place. That's
Kristen.
Anna.
Oh,
Kristen
Kristen
Stewart.
Stewart. Oh God, you're right. Jesus. Yeah,
I'm surprised I knew that. I've never
we
seen any
almost watched
Twilight
that movie
movie.
one night actually, but we didn't.
It's good. You should watch it. And it's got David from Schitt's Creek, Daniel Levy.
Yep.
So I mean, watch it just for his scenes alone because he's hilarious. Mary Steenburgen's in it as well. You'll recognize a lot of people that are in it.
Huh.
You see the one girl from Parks and Rec, and also Legion. So I love her. She's hilarious, Audrey. So she's in it. That was very cute and very sweet. Sometimes it was very predictable, as are all Christmas movies, but it was good. Mothered gets an honorable mention. Very cute Christmas movie that the whole family can enjoy. It's not Elf, but I felt like the humor was very similar. Like you have someone with no real idea of reality today, but is very innocent and means well, but of course creates problems nonetheless.
Huh.
Christmas Chronicles 2 on Netflix. Not a fan,
I
but I
wasn't a
felt like it
fan
needed
either.
to be mentioned.
Oh, I forgot about that. I wasn't a fan about that movie either. It wasn't as good as the first. Was decent. I liked the
No.
first.
Yeah.
Second one
A
was
lot
very
of
forgettable.
the kids seem to like the second one more. I think it was just more aimed towards kids.
My
It's
kids
just
didn't
too
even pay attention
cheesy.
to it.
And it has the kid from Deadpool 2 in it,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
a
like the
bad guy
villain.
again.
And he like forgot how to act from Deadpool 2 to this movie. It
Well,
was not good.
he didn't act very well in Deadpool either, though. I don't think he
His
did.
acting was much better in Deadpool 2 than it was in this movie. So put that one on for your kids and walk away. You do not need to watch that one with them. Hamilton came to Disney Plus this year. I did not expect to like it because my daughter is obsessed with it and sings it all. Well, she used to sing it all the time. So I knew a lot of the words and like it would drive me nuts. And she actually went and saw Hamilton with my dad. And I said, save your money, I'll stay home. Uh, well, those tickets aren't cheap.
No,
And
no, it's
so,
definitely not.
yes. So it was like a Christmas present to her because my dad asked, he's like, do you want me to get you a ticket? I'm like, no.
I'm gonna
But when my dad
save.
says, hey, I'm getting tickets for the finals game for the Miami Heat, do you want to come? Even though we're going to be a nosebleed, I'm like, hell yeah.
It does. Even in a
But
nosebleed, you can see. Speaking of which, shout out NBA's back as of right now. NBA is back.
yes, we get a Heat game on Christmas for the first time in years.
Are the Celtics playing the Heat that day? Or no, Celtics play the
We're
Nets.
playing Pelicans, I think.
Yeah, you're playing the Pelicans. Celtics got the Nets. That's right.
I just packed. I'm heading down to my dad's tomorrow and packed my Dwayne Wade jersey for Christmas Day. Very
Ooh.
excited. Okay. But I did enjoy Hamilton, and if you watch it on Disney Plus, it's the original cast, so it is pretty good. I did put the subtitles on because they do like they rap a lot of it, and you just
Oh
miss a
yeah.
lot of it, so it's nice to be able to read it. And those were all my honorable mentions. Now I'm going to do my top five. So I actually, even though I didn't love Birds of Prey, I put it in my top five because how I did my top five were the movies I enjoyed the most. And because it was the only new superhero movie I really watched this year, unless you want to count The Old Guard, because I did have that, but I didn't really
Kind of a
count that.
superhero. I mean, it's a graphic novel, but yeah.
Right. But there were parts I really enjoyed and then parts that I thought were terrible in Birds of Prey. I really liked the fight scenes at the end, especially when what is it, Canary is like, I can't see with my hair in the way, and
Yeah, you. That's one of those things that
Harley,
nobody ever brings up.
yeah, and Harley Quinn's like, oh, you want a hair tie? Here you go. And so I really enjoyed that part. Um, Number four was Defy Bloods. That's on Netflix. So this is actually it's a fictional story, but it's a tribute to basically the forgotten heroes of the Vietnam War.
Oh, really?
Um, it was interesting because they show actual videos and pictures from the Vietnam War that are very hard to look at. I found myself closing my eyes and turning away
Huh.
because you know they're real, you know what you're looking at, and it's
Right.
it's very difficult to watch. But the movie was mainly about racism and PTSD, and they even say like was like 11% of U.S.'s population at that time was black, and yet 30 something% of the guys drafted were black.
Oh
And a
yeah,
lot of it,
that's
they say a lot of the white guys hid behind their fancy colleges and stuff like this, but and
president.
a lot of times they would put the black men on the forefront and they would go first. And so the story is these guys are going back to Vietnam to find their guy that that died there that they had to bury. So they're supposed to be bringing back his remains, and the guy that they're bringing back his remains is Chadwick Boseman. So you have an extra level if you watch this, since
Yo,
he
I'm not
passed, an
ready to watch
extra.
that. Hell no.
Right, there's an extra level. He's not in it very much. He's only in, they do flashbacks. The whole point of the movie is them going to
Still.
Vietnam, but there's more. They're not just looking for his bones, they're looking for more. And so there's a lot more to it than you expect, and other things go right. It's a Spike Lee film, so if you like his movies, you'll probably like it, but it's a lot more than I guess what you're bargaining for. But the scenes with Chadwick, it's at first I was confused because it takes place in present day, but then when they do the Vietnam scenes, all the actors are their age today. So they didn't cast younger people. So
Right.
I
They
guess
just
they
kind of.
felt like, what's the point? Yeah. So and you do notice that he is very skinny in this movie. He is skinnier than he was in Black Panther. Um, it was an extra, like, punch to the heart, kind of seeing that, especially when they do find his bones and they're having a
Yeah.
moment. It was very emotional. So it is a very emotional film because you're getting a lot of actual terrible things that happened recently and in Vietnam. I mean, absolutely terrible things. But there was a lot more to it, a lot of twists, a lot of things you didn't see coming, and a lot of PTSD. Like the one guy is like still so fucked up and his son's with them, and you kind of find out why he's so fucked up in the end. But there's just
Yeah, Vietnam was a
it was
terrible, like it really fucked a lot of people up.
right. Well, and that goes into my number two as well. But number three is Onward.
It was a good
I
movie.
know
I
we're getting
forgot
another
about
Disney
that
movie
movie.
on
Oh
Christmas
yeah.
Day. Yeah. So
Soul.
that
That movie's
was,
going to be sweet.
yeah, that comes out Christmas Day. So we should give that a mention as well. Wonder Woman and Soul, I'm sure, are both going to be amazing, but we haven't seen them yet. If you're listening to this, you probably have because they're already out.
True.
But yeah, Onward was great. It was the first movie Disney Plus was just like, okay, we can't. No, they released it in the theater, and then like a week later, they put it on Disney Plus right when we went
Yeah,
into quarantine.
that's right.
So that was really nice to be able to watch that with the kids at the beginning of quarantine. Spider-Man and Star-Lord are the two brothers. They lost their dad really young. They live in a land of magic though, and when the brother turns a certain age, they have like this I don't remember exactly. I haven't seen it since March, but basically they have a spell to bring the
So,
dad back, but then they mess up the
yeah,
spell, so they bring half the dad back. But they have a lot of Easter eggs in that movie, and they have, there's
it's got
all
Tom
sorts
Holland
of
and Chris Pratt in it, right?
yeah, Spider-Man and Star-Lord. But it's basically like they live in a mythical, I guess, on a mythical planet with unicorns and all these fairies and everything, but it's like present day, and like the unicorns are now like raccoons and the fairies are kind of assholes. And so, but you still have a little bit of magic, but not many people really believe in it. It's a good family movie.
It was great. It
And my
hits you in the
number,
face with sadness, though.
I mean, Disney does that. They're like,
They
here's feel good, here's
really
feel
like that
terrible,
was
here's feel
sad.
good.
Yeah, we won't spoil anything really yet, but dude, that movie was sad. Go watch it.
And then my number two was The Trial of the Chicago Seven, which is actually about a bunch of people
Sasha Baron
protesting the
Cohen, right?
Vietnam War. At what was it?
Sasha Baron
Yeah.
Cohen's in that one. Yeah,
Yep, he is. And actually my number one is Borat. Did
your
not expect
movies are
my
way
last
too
two.
serious for me. Jeez, I haven't seen the newest Borat yet, so I.
Well, Borat is not serious.
Well, obviously, I'm just saying, like in the middle there, your movies are really heavy and serious.
Well, I'm more of a TV person or movies like the MCU. Like I like to be attached to my characters. Um, so for me to watch a movie that has no attachment to anything else, I don't
Fair.
know. I feel like it's got to be good. But yeah, The Trial of the Chicago Seven is based on real events. It's really good, and one of my favorite things of movies based on real events is at the end where they tell you what happened to these people. I like
Mm,
closure.
I did too.
Yes.
I just haven't watched it. I guess I'm never in a serious movie. I sometimes I have to be in a certain mood for serious movies because life is just so serious, especially this year. So I'm just never. I'm always looking for the easy way out. But I'll give it a go.
Well, yeah, most of the time when I'm watching something, I like to just get, lost in it, not because watching The Bloods was emotional. And
Mm.
again, my husband fell asleep half an hour in, so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, but
No.
my number one was Borat, which is really stupid, but I mean, I
Mm,
just laughed all the way through. It was very hard to watch, but I think that's the most I laughed
I haven't seen it yet.
watching
I didn't
anything
like the
this year.
first one. I don't.
Yeah, if you didn't like the first one, you
I
probably
didn't.
won't
Well, I'm
like
not a
this
Borat
one.
fan personally. I don't know his. I'm hit or miss with his humor. I appreciate what he does. He's really good at what he does. It's just
So I
not for
actually have
me.
some very interesting fun facts for this because this is his second one and he has like a following now.
Yeah.
So there were times during the filming that he actually had to wear a bulletproof vest, and there was a scene where he stayed in character for 5 straight days. And if you've seen the movie, you know why or when he did that. There was a debutante ball, and the guests were all given $100 to attend, but they had to take a quiz beforehand, and they actually asked them if they knew who he was, but they mixed in other comedians like Will Ferrell and somebody else as well. And they took their phones, like they weren't allowed to have their phones. But then during the dance, there is a very interesting scene. I'll leave it at that if you haven't seen it, to where these guests actually stormed out and they're like, "Give me my phone now. I need to leave." For the scene where he sneaks into the Pence rally. He sneaks into the Pence rally dressed as Trump, and he had to hide in the bathroom for 5 hours so he could do that.
Oh my god.
Um, And when he was speaking with the older Jewish women about the Holocaust, one of which was an actual survivor, he broke character to let them know that the anti-Semitic jokes were not genuine, and even though they were actually being kind, but he wanted them to know that he was making the jokes to bring awareness to anti-Semitism.
Right.
So
He's
they were
Jewish
being perfectly
himself.
fine. Like, yeah, he Cohen, yeah.
Yeah.
But so, they were still being very nice, but he felt he needed to break character because of, this woman was a Holocaust survivor, and he wanted her to know, I'm doing this not to bash that culture, but to bring awareness to the criticism of that
Yeah.
culture.
He's a really good fucking dude.
Um, but unfortunately, Judith the Dim Evans, she actually passed away this summer, and so the movie is dedicated to her. But her estate still tried to sue him. The case was dismissed, but they still tried to sue him. I'm sure he's got a ton of. I mean, as soon as his movies air, he gets sued all over the place. That's probably
Oh
part of the
yeah,
film
that's
budget.
that. That's why he has a lot of things to like cover his ass. I think as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he was outed at the pro gun rally. Somebody recognized him, even though
Mm,
he was in disguise. Somebody recognized him, and they tried to storm the stage. But fortunately, he had hired the security, so he made it out okay.
jeez. Yeah,
So
he also stormed that like KKK pro white rally in where he didn't storm it. He like it wasn't a Borat related thing, but he there's like some like Proud Boys white power rally in Washington State, and he set the whole thing up or something like that. He was like the guest speaker, and he trashed the shit out of them, and then they finally caught on to it, and then he got out of there, something like that. Like he's so good at that stuff.
yeah, he's got to be. But yeah,
Yeah.
but we spent a minute on TV. I mean, on
Yeah,
movies.
TV. I'm not going to go too long in. There wasn't a lot that I'm not as much as a. I'm not. I'm the more of the person who's going to rewatch the same thing over and over. I haven't watched Flash, Arrow, things like that. I don't know why. I just
I
haven't.
haven't watched them at all.
I've seen. I haven't seen the latest seasons. I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay,
I just
okay,
haven't
that's what I
watched the
thought.
latest seasons. But my in this order, I have number one was The Boys, of course. That TV, what they're doing on that show is amazing. Then you have Mandalorian, which these are very interchangeable. So actually, I'm going to change
Yeah.
them right now. I'm changing them right now. It's actually Mandalorian is number one. Then it's The Boys. And I'll explain Mandalorian when we talk about the show. And then Clone Wars season 7. I cannot stress enough how much I know you've watched it and you didn't quite understand it, but the final scene in the Clone Wars, having watched the TV show, knowing like the lore, knowing just watching Star Wars, like the final scene, which spoilers, is Darth Vader on the planet of snow. He walks up, he sees the ship that is destroyed because Ahsoka and Rex got away, and he finds Ahsoka's lightsaber. He sees all the clone helmets just sitting there, and he sees the owl, which the owl is associated with Ahsoka because there's an episode in the previous season that Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, they like go and they're like in this weird, like it's the Force. The Force is a living thing, and so the owl is associated with that. And so the owl, which made an appearance in Mandalorian, follows Ahsoka, and so
Mm.
it's Anakin. You kind of see behind
That's
his
why they
mask.
zoomed in on that bird.
Yes, so
Oh.
that's associated with Ahsoka, who was Anakin's Padawan, and you see like behind, you see his eyes behind the lens, and it's just heartbreaking because he's walking away. You can tell he's just like he regrets it. He's filled with this like regret, sadness, anger. It's really emotional. Like it's one of those things that I don't cry, but like man, it really gets me going. Like damn, just because the story of Darth
Mm.
Vader is so tragic, and so that's my number three. And then we have the Tiger King and Last Dance, and then The Good Place. The Good Place is really good. If you haven't watched The Good
I
Place,
did like
I
how
love
they
that show.
I liked how they ended it. It was very interesting and thought
Yeah,
provoking.
I like it.
And
It
I'll
was
leave it
just
at that without
stupid
ruining
fun,
it.
and it's one of those you can turn your brain off, and it kind of makes you feel good. And
Yeah,
so,
until that ending though, because you then
well,
start to
yeah,
think about that. But yeah, that's
it's fair.
if anybody who hasn't seen it, it is on Netflix now. That's Ted
It is
Danson.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen, yeah, I was gonna say you just said it.
It's Kristen
Yeah,
Bell,
Kristen Bell's in it.
Anna,
And yeah.
and yeah. So it was
And
a good
Good
show.
Place, of course, is supposed to be heaven.
It is, and it is, and so go watch it. It's really good. Go watch all these, really good. So that's kind of like my top movie or TV shows of 2020. What do you got?
So I did some nods and then I did a top five again. So my nods are Tiger King because it wouldn't be 2020 without Tiger King.
Very
I also
true.
did The Last Dance. The Last Dance is fantastic. If you like basketball, you should definitely watch it. And of course, The
The
Last
Michael
Dance
Jordan puff
is
piece, which was my only complaint.
was well, it's but it was a it, I mean, you wouldn't have had those 6 championships in Chicago without him. And so The Last Dance was that last season together as the Bulls that we know
No,
that won
yeah,
all those
you're
championships.
right. I know. I'm just
Okay.
saying.
And Dead to Me season 2, that's Christina Applegate and the other girl whose name I never know, but she's from Scooby Doo and a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
she's Hawkeye's wife, right?
yeah, she's Hawkeye's wife. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
can never remember her name, but I had such a crush on her in Grandma's Boy and Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah, Grandma's Boy. But yeah, that show's really good. It starts with Christina Applegate's husband is hit while jogging, and then a whole bunch of stuff ensues, and James Marsden's in that one as well. A whole bunch of stuff ensues that you don't necessarily see coming. It's a kind of a dark comedy. Legends of Tomorrow gets a shout out. All of that season
That
was actually in 2020,
really, huh? That
and that
series,
is on Netflix with all the other CW shows.
okay.
What?
I said that series in general is just really
Oh,
good.
yeah, much better. Arrow ended in January 2020 for good. I gave up on
The best.
Supergirl. There's
Everybody did.
still no date for season 6 though because of COVID and her being pregnant. The Flash didn't even finish this year, so you can't really judge anything yet. But it's supposed to be coming back February 23rd, 2021. But they still have to wrap up the story
That's
from
fair.
last year. Schitt's Creek ended 6 seasons. That is on Netflix, and that is fantastic.
I've
If you like
watched
Eugene Levy,
I've watched some episodes. Carrie was really into that. I just would watch, fall asleep, and I didn't sit down and watch it the whole thing, but I've seen a bunch of it.
it's very good. It's yeah, it's very good. That's all I'll say. Basically, what Schitt's Creek is about, if you don't know it, they were like multimillionaires
Hmm.
living this fabulous life, and the kids are grown; they're in their like 20s, and then they had a bad, guy handling their finances, and overnight they lose it all. So they go to this city called Schitt's Creek, not actual SHIT, it's SCHITT, and we were like, well, let's go there because we actually own that town. I bought it as a joke or something. So maybe we can sell that town and get some money and get back on our feet. And then they end up like living in the motel
Yep.
and
I do,
it's one of
yeah.
those typical like, oh, the rich people in like the poor city, but
Fish out of
there's more
water.
to it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
it's Catherine O'Hare and Eugene Levy are the parents. So right there, it's going to be good. Agents of Shield ended. Oh, actually, Schitt's Creek was my number 5, so I'm counting down now. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended 7 seasons. It's on Netflix, Disney, and Hulu. They did a great job in the end. Not great in the beginning. If you're
I'll have to give
watching
that a
YouTube, I'm putting Matt
go.
to sleep.
Oh, I'm just so in love with this beer. I just want to cuddle up to
Oh,
this beer
good.
in my bed and just coddle this
Just
bottle.
hug it.
It's
It
just
is
so
really good.
good. It is so good.
I'm telling you, it was my all-time favorite for years. Um, so yeah, Agents of Shield. If you gave on it in the beginning, I completely understand. But it got really good. It got better. The seasons got shorter, and they ended it very well.
I'm gonna
And
watch that
there's
like you watch the Clone Wars.
there you go. There's our 2021
That's our
resolutions.
resolution is watch this and you watch the Clone Wars and then we'll get back.
But I would really love to see some cameos from some of those people in future MCU movies. I think that would be really, really cool to see some crossovers.
I agree.
And they're definitely connected to the movies. With more than Coulson, Nick Fury even made a cameo. I think in early on, but it was a good show. They did good with the time travel, and even their time travel theory was consistent with Endgame, so it was good. My number 3 is The Mandalorian. Okay, my number 2 is The Boys. I don't really need to discuss either of those because we've talked about them so
Yeah.
much. My number 1, even though I did not love the series finale, it's got to be Supernatural.
It ended after 15
Anybody who's
seasons.
right. So I'm summing it all up. They ended in 2020, although I feel like the series finale was not as good as it should have been because of COVID.
Well, they
There
didn't
were
get a
people that
fair
should have been
shake, I
there.
feel.
But I think they rushed it because Jared Padalecki is filming another CW show. He's the new Walker, Texas Ranger. So I think that's why
Hell
they kind
yeah,
of.
brother.
And Jensen Ackles had to go get fitted for his Soldier Boy costume. I always want to sing that, like,
Soldier
so
boy
the
up in the
ooh,
zoo.
yeah. So I do want to do some shout outs to Supernatural before we tie up with our comic book favorites. Because my husband actually said to me last week, I was talking to somebody about one of the scenes, and he goes, I always thought that show was a teeny bopper show. And I was like, why did
Hmm.
you think I would watch it if it was a teeny bopper show? And he goes, well, I thought it was like, damn it, what's the show with the three sisters that are witches? Charmed.
Oh
And I'm like,
God. Yeah.
I've never seen Charmed,
It's
but I
not
don't think
good.
it's
It's
like
not good.
that. So to anybody who might think it's a teeny bopper show and roll their eyes every time I mention it, I'm going to say some fun facts about Supernatural real quick.
Roll the tape.
So there is a line that Dean says. They're arguing about something. He goes, quote, yeah, well, there's times I want to get slapped during sex by a girl wearing a Zorro mask. That don't make it a good idea. Dean once broke Sam's laptop because it got frozen on bustyasianbeauties.com. The angel Gabriel once got a message to Sam and Dean via a porn called Casa Erotica, in which he was one of the stars.
What kind of shows are you
Castiel,
watching? Have some decency.
well,
There
he
are
gave them the
children.
DVD. That's the thing; it's not necessarily a kid show, but most of their stuff is all euphemisms and it goes over the kid's head. But there's also a lot of gore. I mean, like you see a lot of, elevator drop on somebody and the legs still going, blood spattering a lot. So you see a lot of gore too. I mean, heads get chopped off regularly because that's how you kill a vampire. And then there's Castiel, the angel of the Lord, discovers porn. And while he's watching it, he says, quote, this is very complex. If the pizza man truly loves this babysitter, why does he keep slapping her rear? Perhaps she's done
A
something
tale
wrong.
as old as time.
End
What are you
quote.
doing, stepbrother?
Well, then the actor has actually said it's fun playing a character who discovers porn for the first time. They even make fun of the fan fiction on more than one occasion. In fact, in one point, Dean even looks straight into the camera with a very judgmental look.
As he should.
Um, and I've just never seen a show with so many pop culture references that constantly makes fun of itself. So
That's
that is
fair.
my wrap
I'll
up to
probably never watch it.
2020's
I'll be
television.
honest. That's the one show I probably won't ever watch.
Well, I have convinced in the last 6 months, maybe more than 6 months, I've convinced Ian, Tracy, and Erica to watch it. So
I
I'm okay with that.
am not as committed to something that's going to take 15 seasons. That's a lot of commitment.
Well, you don't. That's what everybody says. It's a lot of commitment. To me, I look at it like that's a lot of time to get to enjoy a show that you're invested in because I like being invested in characters. I mean, look at the MCU. If you were to get into it, like, let's,
Yeah, that's fair.
now,
It's fair. I
that,
just,
especially if you wanted to watch some of the TV too, that's a lot.
it is. I got a lot of other things I got to watch first. I'll eventually get to it. Maybe in 10 years. Who
Oh,
knows?
look at that. I already changed your mind.
Mm,
That was
it's going to
easy.
be a while. I don't know. Anyways, comic book time.
Right.
Our favorite comics. I only have a
Yes.
couple. I don't have a lot. My number two, because I only have two. So Batman and Three Jokers. I want to shout out to that because that was a fantastic storyline. You have really great art in it. This is a 3 comic book arc that takes place right after the Killing Joke. Fantastic. I'm not gonna go any more into that. And then Darth Vader is actually my favorite comic that I'm reading right now. That shows a lot of depth to Darth Vader, the man behind the suit, his relationship with the Emperor Palpatine, his relationship just with past relationships, everything. So Darth Vader, if there's nothing else you read, check out that run. There's only 8 issues, I think, right now, and it's really, really great. That's all I have.
I have heard many good things about that both those Joker sets. So that's something I'm gonna have to read eventually
It's
because
I have to send them to you. I keep forgetting. Just like I have
we have
million
them at my
stickers
comic
to
book shop.
send
I can
you, I
even.
just keep forgetting.
Ooh, I got another sticker today at 10:10.
Ooh.
Okay, so I only have three. Well, also comics took a big hiatus this year, and
They
some of them
did.
took
They
quite a
did. To
while
be
to get
fair.
back up and going. So I picked Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was a very short run. I want to say it was only 5 or 6 comics, but I feel like they kind of gave you an introduction to what to expect from Winter Soldier and Falcon. I don't know. We'll find out, or Falcon Winter Soldier. But I kind of just wanted to read how they were, how they interacted on in a comic book before the show came
Yep.
out. And Zemo's in it. Hydra's mentioned, and you get a little bit of that camaraderie between the two of the "I love you, I hate you" kind of thing.
Right.
And then I put Oblivion Song. It did not start in 2020, but it's still one of my favorites. I just love that they're always doing things I'm not expecting, and the story is always more than what you expect.
Hmm.
I also mentioned The Boys. The Boys did not come out in 2020. In fact, Volume 6 of the Omnibus came out December 2019, but I believe they released it right then to introduce Dear Becky, which I've only read the first issue. It was all right, but I wanted to finish all the old ones before I
Right.
continued on that. So they released Dear Becky this year in 2020. So that's why I figured I could put it in here. And it's basically Huey's reading letters that Butcher wrote to Becca. So that's Becky is Becca. And
Mm.
it's kind of like fucking with him. I guess some of the stuff that was going through Butcher's head. I don't fully know how the comics ended yet, and I wouldn't spoil it anyways. But
Right.
that's kind of how the premise starts. So it's like 10 years after Huey first joined the boys. So as I finish up the old ones, I will then start Dear Becky, and I will let you know if they are worth watching.
I can throw Oblivion
And
Song
that's
in
about
there
it.
because I read that. I started reading it. I think it's really good. So I'll throw in Oblivion Song as well. That's fine. If there's anything we left
All right,
off,
there.
let us know. And aside from that, let's break down the ending to Mandalorian real quick. I feel
We
like
should give a shout out to Tenet. I didn't see it, but I heard it was
I
good.
didn't see it yet. I heard it was good except for the audio, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, all right. So yeah, The Mandalorian. Go.
Uh, well,
Oh, if you haven't seen it yet, leave now. But you probably should have seen it by now.
yeah. If you haven't seen it, this is your chance. It probably deserves
You've
its
already
own
been
episode,
spoiled.
but it was. It's over. We're gonna wait a year. We're getting a spinoff, the Book of Boba Fett. There was a post-credit scene where Boba goes in, kills I Bib Fortuna is the character's name. He kills him and takes over Jabba's palace, and so that ties back to Boba in the Clone Wars TV show. He was a bounty hunter. He got in with bounty hunters. He kind of got into like the underground, you know, I don't even know what your crime world. And so I think that's kind of going to be there's a hut war going on after Jabba died because Jabba was like the most powerful hut. And so we're probably going to follow along his journeys kind of probably as a crime boss is what I imagine with that. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, because I never really. He seemed like a good guy in Mandalorian, but he was always
He's
a
always out for
not a
himself.
good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how he
But,
is in Clone Wars. You'll see, and you'll get a lot more backstory to Kid Boba Fett.
so the fun facts I heard about, obviously if you've seen it, Mark Hamill shows up in the end. So Mark Hamill had to keep that a secret for over a year. And, some people said, well, that CGI wasn't the best. They did a lot
Looked like
better
a
when
video
Leia was
game, but
on.
I was good with it.
I was fine with it, but apparently it wasn't pristine. One, because of budget cuts, and two, because they had to limit the amount of people that were going to find out about this secret. So to keep it secret, it was a little
Yeah, because
more
nobody
low
knew,
budget.
which is I'd rather have than
Right.
with Game of
Exactly.
Thrones, where I knew what was going to happen with Game of Thrones weeks before it ever happened, which fuck Game of Thrones again. However,
How'd
yeah,
you know weeks before it got leaked?
I browsed Reddit. The whole entire script
Mm.
for every episode was out, and all of
Oh
us
my
on
gosh.
Free Folk subreddit, we all wanted to believe that it wasn't true. And then you got that sinking feeling when things were happening, and you're just like, "Fuck, this
So
is how it."
that's why you hate it so much, because I feel like when you have certain expectations and they're completely not met, which is how I
There's
felt with the Supernatural series finale.
zero redeeming qualities about Game of Thrones final season. Zero.
I'm going to
None.
find something.
Anyways, Mandalorian, nobody knew about it. And when, it mirrors in Rogue One, Luke's hallway scene mirrors Vader's so well. And then what I loved the most was Luke just crushing the Dark Trooper with the Force. I geeked out. And there was really good combat between Moff Gideon with Mando. I thought that was great. They fought the dark saber versus the
I
Beskar.
can't believe he believed him.
Yeah,
I
stupid.
was
He
like,
fell
he's
for the
not going to be
oldest
okay with
trick in
that.
the
He's not
book,
going to.
dude.
I know. It's like, why are you trusting him? You're smarter than that.
Stupid. He just wanted the child. And whenever he takes his helmet off, and it mirrored Luke and Vader when Vader took his helmet off. Obviously, neither one of these guys are
Ah.
bad guys, but that's what they were going for. They were mirroring these things with Vader and Luke. And so he takes his helmet off, really emotional again. Like he's giving his son up. My big complaint, or not my complaint. So if you've seen the sequel movies, Kylo Ren kind of kills everybody at Luke's school.
I thought about that too.
What the hell is going to happen to Grogu? Like that's not going to be the last thing we see of him, right? Like
That can't be. I don't know how the Mandalorian season 3 can go on without Grogu. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
kind of
know.
sad because then you're like, wow, no more Baby Yoda in Star Wars Mandalorian, and then but
Right.
you really have a wide open door because Bo-Katan was like, nobody takes the sword or nobody fights him but me, and then here comes Mando like, oh, I got this stupid thing, like take it, I don't want
He's
it.
like, I yield.
Which,
Yeah.
according to her religion and like the rules of Mandalore, she can't take it unless it's one. And so he's kind of the ruler of Mandalore now. So I wonder if they're gonna season 3 is gonna be them taking back Mandalore from the Empire and that kind of stuff,
Right.
which I think would be really cool because there's a lot of story to
Yeah,
be
I mean,
told
they're gonna
there.
if they're not bringing Grogu back, they're gonna have to figure
Yeah,
something out. But I did like the scene where he took his helmet off. I felt like he did that because he wants Grogu to always know what he because Grogu always you always kind of saw him kind of look when he was eating, like he would go kind of
right.
look under the helmet. And so it's because he may not always have that helmet, so maybe he'll
Well,
so he
that he
always knows
wanted
his
to see what his
face.
face looked like because he's probably never seen his
Yeah.
face.
No.
So he
I had
takes
wondered
those off.
about that and then yeah, because no living thing, only the droid.
Yeah, nobody's ever seen his face, and so he
Well, Bill
has
Burr
pretty much
has.
take it off. Well, yeah, Bill Burr has that episode. Pour one out for Bill Burr. Terrible that he died in that accident. Just unfortunate, and that whole episode was really great too because you kind of got some depth to the Imperial officers. They're not all. He brought some like that Southern drawl, that assholeness, which Operation Cinder is basically once the Empire fell, they started to kill all their own people to burn everything down to get rid of any evidence and get rid of all this stuff. And so
That's
the reason
nice.
why like Bill Burr has a lot of PTSD you see in that scene is because a lot of his friends were being murdered and killed.
Right.
And so that's kind of what Operation Cinder is. You play it a little bit in Star Wars the Fallen Order. You see some of or not is it Fallen Order? I think it's Fallen Order. You see or no, I'm sorry. There's another video game or something like that. I can't remember. Battlefront 2. That's what it is. Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront 2, you see Operation Cinder and it's just yeah, the Empire, they're kind of killing each other and it's really kind of sad and effed up, but I wonder so the one doctor, he's like a clone. So I wonder if this traces back to the Rise of Skywalker, where they cloned Palpatine somehow. I wonder if that's what they're trying to do with Grogu. I don't know. Let's just forget those fucking
Oh.
movies never happened, and let's remake them again. We'll say,
Let's just remake everything again.
Princess Leia passed away. We'll redo them again. Keep Kylo Ren because he was the best thing about the sequel trilogies. Give me some Luke Skywalker actually being what his character should have been. Don't let Ryan Johnson or what's his face near these trilogies ever again. And let's just start from scratch. Let's just start from scratch because
All
Dave
right. You heard
Filoni,
it, Star Wars.
Dave Filoni and John Favreau literally have just done amazing things. Dave Filoni did Rebels and Clone Wars, and now he's he got us Ahsoka, which is getting her own TV show. And so I can talk forever about how everything connects to each other. But yeah, we're getting two separate TV shows that they're on this. They're supposed to come out in December of 21. So I think one's going to come out before the other. It has to. They're not going to release both these shows at the same time.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. And that's why a lot of people thought, like, oh, does that mean the Mandalorian's over and this is
Right.
replacing that? But they've said that both of them are coming out.
We're
So
probably going to get Mandalorian in like October again. And then once that
I
ends,
thought
you're
they
going
had
to.
said December, no?
Well, they did. But what I'm saying is that was probably to be like, hey, we have nothing in December. Well, now you have the Book of Boba Fett. So
Ah,
you're probably going to have Mandalorian go right into Book of Boba and do that. So, but who knows? I don't know. I thought it was great.
gotcha. We'll see.
And yeah, Luke Skywalker is why Mandalorian was my number one show of the year.
I'm not surprised. I knew, I knew something big was about to happen. I definitely lived
One
up to the
X
hype.
Wing. As soon as she said one
I
X
know.
Wing, I was like, that's
As
Luke
soon as
fucking
she said that, because I
Skywalker.
kept asking, and as he's coming down, I asked my daughter, I'm like, what color's Luke Skywalker's
Red 5.
lightsaber again? Yeah.
Yeah, green. It's green. You uncultured. Again, come on.
I'm
It is
trying here. I'm
green.
trying.
So, but that's all. I think that's about it. We maybe next week maybe we'll dive in a little more, but next week we're going to talk about Wonder Woman, Stan Lee, and that's yeah. You can find us again. Find us on Hops News by searching on all your podcasting platforms. You've probably found it if you're listening to
All
us.
your podcasting platforms, all your podcast platforms.
Yeah, just search us Hops News. Look for the geeks. That's us. And on YouTube, go to the Geeks playlist. Go to Hops Geek
If you're
News on
listening, you probably found
Instagram.
us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At this point, you probably found us. Go to Instagram,
Good
Hops Geek
job.
News, and then let us know what you want to see, hear, corrections, anything like that. Hit us up on the DMs, and we'll see you guys in 2021.
Oh, wow. 2021.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.